Joined now by Governor Larry Hogan, one of the superstars of this. Governor Hogan, welcome to the Hugh Hewitt Show. I live across the river, but I admire your work greatly.
Well, thank you very much, Hugh. We're sorry you're on the wrong side of the river, but we're happy to have you as a neighbor.
Well, I look forward to talking to you in calmer times about the forthcoming book, Still Standing, because I think your story is inspiring. And for Terp, I really find it contradictory. I'm an Ohio State fan, and Urban Meyer is listening. I'm still not sure we should have let you into the Big Ten, but I want to read Still Standing.
Hugh, to make it even worse, I shouldn't tell you this at the start of the interview, but I have two daughters that went to the University of Michigan, so that probably ruined the whole thing.
Well, Urban Meyer just hung up. I mean, I just lost a listener in Columbus. He's on every morning. Honest to goodness, Governor, you're killing my audience. But
I'm sorry.
I went to the University of Michigan Law School, so they should treat it like the Vikings treated England. Go in, get whatever's worth having, and get out. That's all I can tell you.
Well, they did. They came back home. So
all right, let me get to the good stuff. There's a part of this crisis that people haven't explored, and you're good for this. The task force talks to the governors. How does that happen? Who runs the call? How is it working?
Well, it's a great question, and I think it's one of the things that's working the best in this whole thing. And it's been chaired by the vice president, and Mike Pence, having been a former governor, I think he really understands the role of the governors in this. We're on the front lines. We're each dealing with a somewhat different situation in each of our states, but the communication with the governors is critically important. And I believe we've had 5 different teleconferences with the vice president. Two of them, the president joined in. And we had most of the leadership of this entire fight at the federal level. So, along with a huge participation in the governors, including the governors of the territories. And so, in some cases, we've had 52, 54 total governors on the call, almost everybody. And we've had these things every couple of days, and the information being shared back and forth both ways has been really helpful. Number one, we're getting the most up-to-date information from the president and the vice president and all of his team. And they got a really smart team of people that are all working very, very hard on this situation. But they're also getting direct input and frank input from the governors about their needs and about their concerns and about the things that we're dealing with out on the front lines. And so it's been really helpful, and I want to particularly compliment the president for picking and choosing Mike Pence to head this effort up. And I want to compliment the vice president for his leadership. He's been terrific. I think he was really made for this, built for this, and he's put a terrific team around himself. And I've had numerous personal calls with him on the weekends and the evenings, and I'm the chairman of the National Governors Association, so I've been helping to lead some of those calls and trying to coordinate all of the governors on both sides of the aisle from across the country. And, we've kind of pulled together lots of different frustrations and concerns and demands and issues and requests from all these folks and kind of boiled them down into some key things that we wanted to bring to the administration in a more cohesive, comprehensive manner. We did that last week, and they're in the process of attempting to address all of them. So I think it's been look, this is a very, very difficult situation, Hugh, and it is going to take everyone at the federal, state, and local level and the private sector all working together. And so I think that's been a big part of it. The communication, I've never seen anything like it.
Now, Governor Hogan, I told this to Dr. Fauci last week, and he demurred, but I'm going to emphasize it again. I want everyone to take extraordinary notes because as I read John Barry's The Great Influenza, 1918 to 1920, the pandemic, they lacked a lot of record of what people did and didn't do, and that would have informed us better. And the next pandemic, and there will be another one, I hope it's another 100 years, but there will be another one, will be informed by what you and your colleagues do. Is anyone writing it down?
Well, I sure hope so. I mean, I'll tell you what, it's this is such a rapidly escalating situation that we're drinking from a fire hose. I mean, Hugh, you wouldn't believe the pace at which this is happening. Things that we never would have imagined making decisions on, or we're making decisions on, things that seem like they were a month ago. It was just yesterday, and it's not changing week by week or hour by hour, but almost minute by minute. So I haven't had a chance. I've got things scribbled all over notepads just from the decision making, but don't have any time to write it down. I think there are probably some good folks that are taking some notes and documenting, because we are going to learn from this. And by the way, Dr. Fauci is a brilliant guy who, he came and spoke to all the governors at the National Governors Association first week in February, and kind of gave us some tremendous wisdom for all the governors back then. And I think he's been speaking with the most clarity and the most intelligence and the most information on this entire topic for a long time. I have tremendous respect for him and his team.
Yeah. Now, tough questions, Governor. The subtitle of your forthcoming book says Surviving Cancer, Riots, and the Toxic Politics That Divide America. I will not tell you which state official told me this. They are worried about unrest. They are planning. Are you?
Well, sure. It's one of the things that one of the many things that are on our radar screen just to watch out for. It's not at the very top of the list, because our first top of our list is, for example, this morning I'm going to Baltimore to work with the National Guard and FEMA and the University of Maryland Medical System and Johns Hopkins to stand up a 250-bed hospital in the Baltimore Convention Center. And we're, working on trying to distribute food to school kids who are out of school and not able to, don't have the opportunity to eat. So we're focused on immediate health and life-saving things. But absolutely, security is one of the things. I called up 2,200 members of the National Guard. They're doing a lot of humanitarian functions, like assisting with the hospitals, assisting with the delivery and logistics and supplies, and but they're also we have a security capability. We've called up a 250 member mobile field force of the Maryland State Police, and we're in constant communication with all of our local law enforcement officers. So, as you know, 90 days after I became governor, I had called up the Guard and 1,000 extra police officers, 4,000 Guard members to keep the peace and restore calm and law and order to Baltimore City. If we have such a situation again, we'll certainly be ready to handle that. Right.
And how do you assess the performance of the president?
I think the president, lately, has been his messaging has been much better than it was earlier on. I was disappointed in that, and some of the early on a few weeks ago when he was saying, it wasn't any big deal, and that everybody should relax. I thought that was a little off message, because his team was saying just the opposite. But I'll tell you, recently he's really been on top of it and changing that tune substantially. But I think he's in many ways risen to the occasion. He's got wonderful, strong people around him, starting with the vice president and Ambassador Birx and guys like Fauci and all of his cabinet leaders. And but it's a wartime thing right now. I mean, it's a whole different way of governing, and it takes a whole different set of skills. And I think
and Governor, last question, because I'm running out of time. Nancy Pelosi is from Baltimore.
Yeah.
She is holding up a rescue package. Right. Do you have a message for her?
I do. Look, I have said very strongly we have to put aside any kind of partisan politics. Both sides do. Right now it's being held up in the House by the Democratic leaders in the House. This is no time for Republicans and Democrats. And no time for divisive and dysfunctional politics. This is a time for all Americans to come together to help to save the lives of thousands of people and to get these things moving, get our economy back on track. So my message would be to get this thing done.
Governor Larry Hogan, keep coming back. Good luck with standing up the hospital today. Admire what you're doing. Look forward to talking to you about Still Standing when it comes out. And you'll have an epilogue to write for the paperback edition, that's for sure.
There you go. Okay, well, thank you, Hugh.
Thank you, Governor.